Suddenly, all I can think about is this thing about myself that isn't right. At times, I have felt repulsed by my own skin. And that's the problem. It's my own skin. I can't get out of it. I'm stuck there. I realise that may sound depressing and dark, but I assure you my story is also full of some delightful and pretty ridiculous memories. I'd like to show you that while I've faced some difficult challenges, I'm now the happiest I've ever been. While I can't get out of my skin, I have been able to make some big changes. Over the last 6 years, I've told my family and friends about my trans identity, changed my name, battled the healthcare system, started taking male hormones, and have had surgery on my chest. It hasn't been an easy ride, but to wake up now feeling more comfortable with my body is a true blessing. I'd be lying if I said that my transliness, sometimes you just need a noun for being trans, I've chosen to use transliness, wasn't a huge deal or that it didn't matter, because that one segment of my identity has played a huge part in shaping who I am as a person. It's also become a more public part of me than I ever imagined. Throughout all these years of self-discovery, I've been uploading videos about my life onto YouTube. My channel has gained a bigger following than I ever imagined, and it's become my passion to share my transition story. Nothing will ever beat the feeling I get when I'm approached by someone saying my videos have helped them. But other than the surreal YouTube life I experience once in a while, I'm just a regular dude working a 9-to-5 job trying to live my life as happily as possible. I'm not really a writer, but I have had some different experiences that I'd really like the world to know about. It's the information you won't find on TV shows or in news articles about trans people. It's the real stuff. The emotions, the practicalities, the self-doubt, the stuff they can't cram into 60 minutes and which doesn't create a provocative headline. This is the first time I've ever put out my story from start to finish, and I've done it because I felt it was really important for there to be a book about a transgender man's true experiences. Chapter 1. Let's get some things straight. I wanted to explain the difference between sex, identity, and expression, right up top, because I feel like knowing these things brings you a little closer to understanding why not every person born with a penis is a man, or why not everyone born with a vagina is a woman. I'm not a professional, so I can't guarantee that this is going to be 100% accurate, but I'll try to make it short, useful, and understandable. Biological sex. This is how the doctors categorize you when you pop out of the womb. Based on science and anatomy, it depends on which sex organs, both internal and external, you have at birth. A person born with a penis is labelled male, and a person with a vagina is labelled female. So, male and female, that's all sorted, right? Nope, intersex is a thing. It wouldn't be right at all if I didn't mention intersex identities here. Intersex describes a person who doesn't fit into either male or female definitions of biological sex. An intersex person might be born with sex organs that are more ambiguous, such as a more enlarged clitoris, no vaginal opening, or a split scrotum. The list of variations is endless. It's not all external. Some people live their whole lives not knowing they have internal organs that don't correspond with their outer organs. In most countries, a doctor basically chooses the person's biological sex based on how typically male or typically female their sexual organs, hormones, and chromosomes are when the situation arises. However, some countries, such as Germany, have an intersex option on birth certificates, so people are not incorrectly categorized as definitively male or female. That matters because the biological sex you're assigned at birth plays a huge role in how most people are brought up. Gender identity. Gender identity is different to biological sex. Your gender is how you feel in your head, as opposed to what's between your legs. That means that your gender identity can be different from your biological sex. For example, my biological sex is female, whereas my gender identity is that I'm a man. That's why I'm described as transgender. On the flip side, someone whose biological sex is female and their gender identity is female is known as cisgender. That's easy, right? Good. Gender is a social construct. That is, the concept is created by humans and defined based on our social and cultural differences. Humans have divided genders by actions, appearances, mannerisms, interests, and so on. In Western culture, we tend to think that men are strong, blunt, and laddish, whereas women are sensitive, thoughtful, and shy. These rigid, traditional stereotypes encourage people to believe that there are only two gender identities, male and female. That is the gender binary. But if you look around today's society, people are breaking out of those stereotypes all the time. In recent years, people have begun to think of gender as more of a spectrum, with people not just falling on the male or female ends, but everywhere in between, and sometimes nowhere on the spectrum at all. Gender expression. Your gender expression is how you present yourself to other people, regardless of your biological sex or gender identity. It's the way you act, dress, and so on. For a lot of people, their gender expression goes hand in hand with their gender identity, but I have some friends who dress in a very feminine way, but feel their gender is more neutral. That's totally okay, because they're just doing what feels right for them. As a society, I think we're taking big steps towards not caring how people express their genders. Maybe one day, hair will just be hair and clothes.